Hi lovelies, karibu sana to my channel. My name is Glynis. Thank you so much for joining us if you're new here. If you're a returning viewer, asante sana. And in today's video, as promised, I'll be trying to explain how the law system in Kenya works, because I've realized that this is a question I get a lot when you guys are sending inquiries in my DM or you're dropping them on email. Thank you so much for that. I feel that you guys are actually watching my videos and it's very encouraging. So without further ado, let's get into it. So as I mentioned in my How to Survive Law School video, I am a lawyer by profession. I studied my bachelor's degree in Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. Yes, we do have a law school. I did it for 4 years, which is basically the duration of your bachelor's. You do your bachelor's for 4 years, which is usually 2 semesters per year and then 1 long holiday. So how it works is, depending on where your semester starts, it could start from September and then go all the way to May, or it could go from May and then all the way to December. It's split into 2 semesters, so it's usually about 4 months. I think May, June, July, August, then September, October, November, December. Yeah, 4 months each. Each semester has 4 months, and in those 2 semesters you cover the coursework, then you go for a long holiday, especially if you're in a public uni. In private unis, I don't know if they still continue during the long holidays, because I had heard that the government said that no, you can't do the law. You can't study your bachelor's degree and then take the long holidays. You have to do the whole 4 years. So that's basically how it works. So at this particular point during your long holiday, you could decide to go work at a law firm, because it's a long time. It's about 4 months. You could go decide to work at a law firm. You could go decide to volunteer. Most unis, either at the 2nd or the 3rd year, they offer something called judicial attachment. This basically means that the school takes you guys to a judicial institution. So as we went to law courts, for instance, I went to Kiambu Law Court, but in the semester before, you're given like a role where you say, I'd like to go to this and this law court. So you could tell to go to Milimani, and to go to Mombasa, I want to go to Kisii. So you go to a law court and you see how the practice works. So in JKUAT, us guys went during 2nd year. In Riara, I think they go in 3rd year. And every uni has its own way of making this work. So during the judicial attachment, it's to give you an idea of how things work. While you're at the judicial attachment, you'll be attached maybe at the registry or at the court, and you'll be given a specific judge or a magistrate who you'll be under, who will be explaining to you how things work out. The main idea with that is so that you know exactly what you're doing, exactly what you're getting yourself into. So that's usually during the 2nd year. Another thing that you should note is, please, during the long holidays, get as many opportunities as possible. Try work at a law firm, try volunteer at an NGO. Just do something to build your CV during this time. So another thing about the 4 years is, I know this is a bit obvious, but note that the grades that you get in 1st year will influence your final score. So if you want to graduate with honors, there's actually a way we used to do it. In my uni, we used to do 56 units. So 40 of those units, just make sure they're A's and B's. 40 of those units, make sure they're A's and B's, so that you can land on a 2nd upper. I know it sounds crazy, I know, but please work hard when you're in law school, and don't start in 3rd year, start in 1st year. Get as many A's and B's as possible. Minimize your C's, minimize your D's. The units you utaona giza, lakini work very, very hard in them. In the How to Survive Law School video, I gave you so many tips that you could use to work through difficult units. And I don't like saying that the law is difficult. It's just very, very demanding. Understanding complex issues can be difficult, but if you're willing to put in the work, then you can actually get these things, and it's not difficult to pass law school. You just need to be willing to put in the work. So start working from day 1. From the minute you get into 1st year, get straight A's. If it's maybe a unit like jurisprudence, we will understand, because jurisprudence is something else. If maybe you feel like the lecturer here has never given an A, let that be the only reason why you don't get an A in that unit, but work very, very hard. So after you finish the 4 years in law school, you've done your judicial attachment, you've done your units, you become a lawyer, which is what I am right now. But when you're a lawyer, you cannot practice in court. You cannot stand before a judge and speak. You have to be something in this country that we call an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Before I even go there, I forgot to mention something very important, which is the entry requirements. As I've said in my how I picked my uni video, the cutoff points for you to be placed in by COOPs are very high, meaning at KCSE you need to be aiming for an A and very, very strong points in your cluster subjects. If you do not get to be placed by COOPs and you decide that you want to go to the parallel program, the minimum grade that you need to be having is a C+, and you need to be having a B+ in English and Kiswahili. Those are the only languages they check, at least when I was joining law school, English and Kiswahili. And please, so that you don't have problems in Kenya School of Law, make sure you have a B+ in English and a B+ in Kiswahili. If you don't, do the bridging course. Do the bridging course in advance because you don't want issues when you're coming to the Kenya School of Law. So those are the entry requirements at the Kenya School of, at your bachelor's level. And those that certificate that you got from your KCSE is what you'll still use when you're coming to the Kenya School of Law. Now that I've explained how the 4 years work out, when you're joining the Kenya School of Law, you're joining to undertake a 1.5 year program for you to do your bar exam and to do your pupillage and to become an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, basically to be admitted to the bar. Now, the Kenya School of Law, unlike other legal systems, you won't just sign up for your bar exam. You will go and you will study for 9 intense months. This 9 months, you do 9 units. You do civil, criminal litigation, professional ethics, trial advocacy, commercial transactions, what are these other units? Legal writing and drafting, legal practice management, 9 units in 9 months. And this is all stuff that you've learned before in undergraduate, but now it's more intense. You are learning it in a span of 4 years. It's like everything is condensed. But because you already know that you've learned this stuff, what you're doing at the Kenya School of Law is you're learning the practical and the procedural aspects. So why you go to the Kenya School of Law to learn the practical, to learn how to draft, to learn how the court system works, how you work through an opening statement, a closing statement, how you conduct a cross-examination. And I know this sounds like stuff you watch in movies, and you think, how hard can a cross-examination be? It's not the easiest thing in the world. It isn't. So it's important for you to go to the Kenya School of Law because that's the only recognized institution for you to be able to practice in court. Now, when going to the Kenya School of Law, it is easier when you are from a university that is based in Kenya. Because at my time, when you are from a university within Kenya, then it means you don't have to undertake the pre-bar exam. But if you are from a university abroad, then you need to do the pre-bar exam and then join the Kenya School of Law. The pre-bar exam is just an exam that gives you the fundamental units just to prove that you understand the basics of the law. So this is like contracts law and stuff like that. Also, there was a rumor some time back that you'd have to do the pre-bar exam before you join the Kenya School of Law. Luckily, I didn't have to do the pre-bar exam, so I don't know if it's something that will be implemented moving forward. But if it is, please read for your pre-bar exam like you're reading for an entry interview. Read for it very, very seriously. Now, let's go back again. In case you don't have the C+ and you still want to study the law, you can study the law. It just takes a bit longer. But if you're very, very passionate, what you do is you start with a diploma in law. Once you do a diploma in law, you undertake your degree. Once you undertake your degree, you can then go to the Kenya School of Law. So it's not like you're completely closed from studying the law just because maybe your KCSE grade didn't work out for you. You still have very many avenues. So if you fail the English and the Kiswahili but you still have the C+, you can bridge in those subjects. But if you don't have the C+, what you can do is you just need to go and start with the diploma. The diploma is offered at the Kenya School of Law. I'd advise you to start with the diploma at the Kenya School of Law because it's a recognized paralegal program and it's very, very good. From what I've heard, it's very, very good. After you do the diploma, do your degree. Once you do your degree, go to the Kenya School of Law. And don't let anyone make you feel like you're studying for too long. As I've said so many times before, if you're going to get into the law, make sure you're passionate. I know people who've done the whole process from the diploma to the Kenya School of Law, and now they're very successful lawyers. So it's actually possible. Back to Kenya School of Law. Once you're at the Kenya School of Law, you'll do those 9 units for 9 months. During this 9 months, it's broken into 3 semesters. So after the first 3 months, you do something called project work. Project work is basically what you are doing in uni as group work. So you are put together in groups which are called farms. In these farms, you'll be given project work to do. And when you're given the project work, you'll research, analyze. Once you do your project work, you submit it at the end of first term. Then you take a short break. Then after first term, you get into second term. You continue with your coursework, and then you do something called oral exams, which is basically an exam that you're speaking orally. So you stand before a panel and you're asked questions. As we're speaking, our year didn't really go as planned. We didn't have the 3 months, then project work, 3 months, then oral exams. Basically, we were just thrown into the fire because of this whole COVID situation. But in an ideal situation, that's how it should be. After you do your oral exams, the oral exams and the project work are marked by the Kenya School of Law. The oral exam is marked out of 20, your project mark is marked out of 20, meaning 40% of your score is going to come from those 2 tests. So that's not something you're scrambling with. That's something that you need to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward, because the bar exam is not easy. Anywhere in the world, you hear about how crazy the bar exam is. So just make sure you're putting your best foot forward for your project work and for your oral exam. Make sure you're working with your team members. Make sure you're going for meetings. It's very, very important in helping with your score. After you've done the 2, you do your final 3 months, and then you do the bar exam. So the bar exam is popular for not being very well done because it's not the easiest. But if you've done your orals and your project work well, then you can actually make it through the bar exam. I've met a few people who are able to get all 9 passes in one go, and it's really good. It's a nice feeling. But in case you also don't get the 9 Ps, you can still redo the paper that maybe you didn't do as well. It's not the end of the world. Like, the legal profession is so tough. Don't let anyone make you feel like just because you didn't get the 9 Ps at a go, it's a problem. But aim at getting all your 9 Ps at a go, so that you don't relax. Because the minute you say, oh, I'll do this paper, then you wait for 3 months, you wait for 4 months, you get a job, and then you have to think about, oh my God, I'm going back to school to receipt this paper. Finish with Kenya School of Law once and for all. Once you finish your bar exams, the next thing that you go for is something called pupillage. So usually you join the Kenya School of Law around February. You study all the way through to November when you've done your bar exams, and then in January you go for pupillage. So pupillage is what, you remember I told you about judicial attachment? It's more or less the same, but now you're attached at a law firm or a state institution for 6 months, and you work under a pupil master. So a pupil master is a lawyer, is an advocate who has at least 5 years experience, who guides you in how to undertake legal issues. So when you're attached to this pupil master, you are still being graded by the school. So the school will need you to keep an account of all the things that you're learning during this period. And as you are keeping an account of these things, during the end of the 6 months, they'll come and they'll evaluate you. And then once that evaluation occurs, if you have passed everything, you proceed to be admitted to the bar at the next time when advocates are being admitted. Now, this all sounds like a very linear process, but it's not. When you start, it's important to have all this in mind so that you understand how this flows. And when you know how it flows, then you can make a decision. Because on average, if let's say you start with your degree, that's 4 years of your degree, and then that's 1.5 years at Kenya School of Law. By the time you're being admitted to the bar, it won't happen immediately. You finish your pupillage. So give or take, you're investing 7 years of your life to the law. 7 years of your life. So please, as I always say, before you join law school, know what you want. Again, it's not a must for you to go to the Kenya School of Law. There is still so much you can do with your law degree if you don't want to practice in court. The reason why you're advised to go to the Kenya School of Law is because the market in Kenya really does give an advantage to someone who is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. My advice, just do it. It's not, it's not a disadvantage to have that paper. But if you strongly believe that you don't want to do it, you don't want to go to the Kenya School of Law, you can still take your law degree at 4 years and go and look for a job using that. Yeah. So I don't think I've forgotten anything. In case I have, please comment down below and let me know on any issues I've missed. But that's basically how the law works in Kenya. That's how you're going to study the law if you are interested in studying the law. If you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos. If you like law school videos, please let me know in the comments or reach out to me on my social. Be kind to one another and have a very, very beautiful day. Bye.